format. I'm Sven Harvey.
And I'm David Zabilia. Now, the last one went really well.
Yeah.
But me and you repeatedly commented about music.
Yes. Let's talk about music. Don't worry, we're not repeating what we did last time. Shadow of the Beast is kind of going to get mentioned a little bit. Now, what we're going to do is talk you through a few releases quickly and then tell you about 2 albums that came out right at the end of last year, which are very, very important.
Oh yes, especially the little diagnosis.
Yes, absolutely.
I like that one.
Now, the Amiga has been known as being a machine for great musical compositions in games. It was probably the first home machine that allowed people to really write their own music that was almost orchestral in nature.
Yeah.
And give people tools to really go to town on creating proper musical masterpieces that didn't sound beepy and bloppy all the time.
So those technical terms, beepy
and bloppy.
beepy and bloppy.
Yeah. The Commodore 64 went to a certain degree, didn't it? Yeah. The Commodore 64 made a huge contribution. The SID chip was great, but the Amiga sound chip, even though it was only it was far superior. It was only an 8-bit sound chip, but
but back then
it was fantastic, and it did produce much better sound than any other 8-bit sound chip had ever produced before. Yeah, but
the other thing to bear in mind with that was it also had its own RAM, which did help.
Yeah. And it could it was basically a custom processor that co-processed alongside the CPU.
Yeah.
So Paula, which was the name of the sound, the chip that did the sound as well as some other things, was quite a big step up for a lot of people. But the most important thing about it was it actually inspired people to make their own music through Pro Tracker or even Deluxe Music from Electronic Arts. Yeah.
Well, a lot of the really hardcore techno people. All say that's where it started.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it started. Now, there have been several releases of Amiga music on CDs in the past where people have literally taken the original music compositions and brought them smack bang up to date. Yeah. The most well-known one is probably the Immortal series, which is up to its 4th one now. The first one was actually envisaged as being it actually came out in 1999, 10 years after the Shadow of the Beast game, and it was originally going to be the Shadow of the Beast tribute album. It ended up being a bit more than that because the first 6 tracks are Shadow of the Beast, and then it's got things like Project X on it, Super Frog and so on and so forth, Turrican, Alien Breed 3D. There's actually CD-ROM data on there, so it's got the original modules, things like that on there, which is great. That came out in 1999, and you had Immortal 2 a little while afterwards, which includes things like Lotus Turbo Challenge 2 and Shadow of the Beast 3 and so on and so forth. Then we had Immortal 3, which is a double CD album.
Lovely artwork.
Again, it's very much in the Psygnosis style. The Immortal logo is certainly Psygnosis in style. And we had Shadow of the Beast 2, Pinball Dreams, Chaos Engine, massive tracks.
Dreams.
Yeah, the original Alien Breed, Lotus 3, Agony, which is another Psygnosis game, Iridium 2, things like that. Great album. That one's actually, there's still stock of that kicking around in certain retailers, so go get it. Yeah,
I'm surprised by that.
This is actually a second copy I've had because for some reason my first disc of my first Immortal 3 got missing somewhere. I think I was playing it at work at some point and it's got pilfered. You can tell if you were in one of the game shops I worked in. And that's actually signed by Allister Brimble, which is one of the guy did the music to the original Alien Breed, Super Frog, Project X, so on and so forth. But we'll mention a bit more about him in a minute. And Immortal 4 came out, I think it was 2011, good God. Is it really that old? I only got it last year, to be honest, at Silicon Dreams events from Amiga Kit. I don't know if Amiga Kit still got any left, but there'll be a link down below for Amiga Kit anyway. And this had things like some Lemmings on it and the Z-Wolf medley and stuff like that, Turrican 2. Lovely album. I love those albums. Another
Actually,
album.
I've not heard this one. Please tell me it's got the proper Lemmings remix track on it, because I loved that.
It's got March of the Green Tops from Lemmings.
That's the one.
Yeah, it's got a couple of others, I think. But yeah, you really need to listen to that at some point. It's even got Capital Punishment on it and T0. So yeah, there's stuff on there. Most Amiga.
I like the fact that up until recently I didn't know about these.
Yeah.
But these I all know. These ones I'm happy with.
Right. Well, Paula, Agnus, Denise, that came out on my birthday last year. I was very lucky to be sent a copy of it by the guys producing it. And basically, this is a really good album, but it's not a brilliant album. It's worth picking up, but one of the things you'll find with this is that a good chunk of the tracks are available from AmigaRemix.com as downloads for free.
Do you want to know what the ironic thing is about that album?
Go on.
Okay. A friend of mine recommended it to me.
Really?
Had nothing to do with the music.
Oh.
Style of the box. He's a packaging freak.
Yeah.
And the fact that they went with the rounded CD, and I don't know if you've ever noticed, but did you see the incline up?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a packaging freak, and he's like, you have to get this album. I'm like, what have they done that's clever? And it's just the
That's
box.
bizarre. I mean, this is the other thing as well, is it says best of Amiga and CD32 video game music, and there's no CD32 only titles on there. There's 2 games mentioned that came out on the CD32, but they were just.
But they came out on other things.
They were literally they were shovelware. There was no difference between the Amiga version and the CD32 version, or the Amiga floppy version rather. Paula, Agnus, Denise is actually named for the 3 custom processors that most people know about in Amiga. There were others as well with different names, but Paula, Agnus, Denise were the main ones. To be fair, there are 2 tracks on here that are a bit, but it is worth grabbing.
Oh yeah.
If you can track it down. Again, Amiga Kit might have some in stock. Coming on to more of the main event, Allister Brimble. A lot of people know him from Team 17.
Yeah.
Because he did, in the early days of Team 17, he was basically the in-house musician to all intents and purposes, even though he was never actually in-house as such. Now, he did produce the music for classic games like Alien Breed. He did Project X. He did
all the iconic games.
All the iconic stuff. I mean, all the really big stuff right at the beginning. He's recently done a new album, which is the Amiga Works. We'll come on to that properly in a minute. His first album was actually on cassette tape. Was called Team 17 Works, so it's obvious where this name's come from. His first CD album that he produced was called Sounds Digital, which was actually a follow-up to Team 17 Works and involves remixes of basically music from Team 17 games. That is now impossible to get. Kind of. This was then followed up by Bang Tick Tick, which is actually a completely separate album. It's not got anything to do with any video games. It's just an actually really, really good album he did, which is worth having if again you can track one down. Good luck with that. But what Alistair did is he did a Kickstarter.
Yeah, I was very. On the one hand, I was thrilled that he did it. On the other hand, I was really annoyed because I didn't hear about it until it was too late.
Yes, quite. I almost missed it, but I did manage to get it mentioned in a few places. This is a double album. It was kickstarted. It's got tracks from Team 17 and other Amiga games that Alistair worked on. So, as well as having all the tracks from Superfrog, pretty much. It's got Alien Breed, it's got a remix of it called Alien Breed Finale, which basically could be used as the soundtrack for Aliens vs Superman movie, frankly. Because
that's a dark horse I'd like to see made.
Yes. And to be honest, it has got the echoes of the Man of Steel theme in it, which I found absolutely amazing. It's not out of place unless somebody realised, hold on, there was echoes of the Man of Steel theme in it way back when. It's got Assassin on it, it's got Overdrive, Project X, even the Project X alternative theme on it, the old time, otherwise known as Morphia. It's got Full Contact, Body Blows Galactic on there, the main Alien Breed 3 theme, Alien Breed 2 theme, but it's also got things like Subwar 2050 on there, a track called The Amiga Never Dies, which was actually on a cover disc, I believe, at one point.
I don't know.
This is going.
When it comes to Amigas, you're the person I ask.
Dojo Dan's on here, Spellbound Dizzy, Troddlers, and so on and so forth. It's Z-Wolf. Yeah, the sound for that. It's almost as if he created a helicopter and a synthesizer. It's brilliant. It's a double album. If he's still got stock left of this, get it. I'll give you the link below. He is doing a digital version of it now.
Is it?
Absolutely, definitely a must-buy if you have any interest in Amiga music whatsoever. Frankly. Now, I was lucky because
That's the one.
Calm down. The other thing about Amiga Works is that as part of the Kickstarter, he actually did a version of the Kickstarter pledge where you've got double CD album and a USB stick. Now, the USB stick actually has the lossless version of the album on as well as the MP3s of the album. It's also got those two albums on it as well, which is really, really cool. And the artwork from the boxes for the games in a lot of cases, and it's even got some bonus tracks that weren't on any of the albums, so that's just great.
Oh, it's an awesome thing to have.
And the original module. Now we'll go on to the one that he's gagging to talk about.
You know, I love this one. Okay. You know what it is? When CDs first came out, they started releasing a couple of these tins. They were normally embossed.
Yeah.
I still have all the Van Halen ones because of all of the tins that were great.
Bizarrely, the first time I ran into a tin like that was actually a piece of software for the Amiga. It was Personal Paint.
Oh yeah.
Came out in one of those. I was just like, wow.
So when you said about this, I was like, oh, there's the album, that's great. And then I saw that, he'd done the leaflet. And the leaflet is absolutely lovely. And the fact that he actually wrote the numbers for them is just,
it's fantastic.
It's absolutely gorgeous. But to then find out that it wasn't the tin, it wasn't a CD in the tin, it was actually the Psygnosis album. And the fact that he went to all the trouble of getting a custom USB.
And he had a lot of trouble with getting this done as well.
Yeah.
It took him absolutely ages. Poor bloke, he must have been pulling his hair out.
So worth doing that. I mean, it's a 4 gig USB which contains 26 tracks.
Something like that.
Something like that. And it's just a lovely little thing to have. And you know what's really terrible? Mainly because Comic Con did a Star Trek badge USB. I was thinking, that would just make it would make such an. I mean, you couldn't do that to it because there's so few of these around.
One thing I do have to say,
absolutely lovely.
I know we mentioned this in the 2013 wrap up for the main Geekology show.
Yeah.
It was really, really nice because Sony Computer Entertainment Europe actually gave him permission to use the OWL logo. Yeah.
And considering they own the copyright for it, because they did it for Shadow of the Beast.
Yeah. So it's and that album has got Shadow of the Beast 2 and 3 music on it, and various other things that Tim Wright worked on. Tim Wright's also known as Cold Storage because he's done tracks for things like Wipeout and stuff like that, as well as his own compositions. And he's worked on stuff with various companies for years.
He's one of those names you just keep cropping up.
He did the music programs for the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Where you could create your own music on those. He was involved in the EJ series. But the tracks on here, I mean, he worked on Lemmings, he worked on Shadow of the Beast, this, that and the other, and this.
The amount of people that would have heard his work and not realised.
Yeah, absolutely. And recently worked on things like Gravity Crash and stuff like that. So it's really, really nice, and I'm absolutely, I'm very, very pleased I managed to get a copy of that.
Yeah,
because I missed the
very. You know, I've been looking on eBay. I'm convinced. Somebody out there is going to go insane and sell a copy.
Yes, absolutely. Again, I'll put some links in because you can actually buy it as a digital download.
No,
I know you want the physical.
I want the physical. The download is great. I'm not knocking the download.
It's just I want the collector in you is going. The collector must have this.
Yeah.
And a Xena.
No. You know what? I just as I get older, I'm slowly turning into comic book guy. Not just the collector, but comic book guy.
I know what you mean.
But no, I mean, awesome selection of music from. Let's face it. Just a great period in gaming history.
Yeah.
I know a lot,
especially
of people,
in British gaming history.
Yeah.
That underline that.
Yeah, see, that's one of the beauties about the Amiga. I mean, it led the way for such a long time in England. And
was
Silicon Valley as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing: is in British game stores until the Mega Drive and the SNES really grabbed attention. There was a couple of years there where half the store was basically Amiga product.
Yeah.
PCs were getting nowhere at the time, and it wasn't until the games consoles really took over, and the Amiga didn't even disappear until around about the time PlayStation came out.
I mean, I don't need to tell you because I should imagine that a good percentage of our viewers know that you write for Micromark for the Amiga section.
Yeah.
But they're still making Amigas, which blows my mind that they're still producing them.
They're a completely different kettle of fish from the old ones.
I know, but it just shows the dedication and the impact it had on people.
Yeah.
They still produce, and software's still produced for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was 2 game releases just before Christmas, which is just fantastic. And the thing is that the new machines are actually based on 64-bit PowerPC processors with dual-core ones, and there's more coming. There's a new motherboard that's just been unveiled, so that's looking really good. And they're actually doing something called Mini-Mig as well, which was an open-sourced recreation of the original Amigas, which a couple of companies are now making motherboards for, so you can build your own one. There's also the official emulation package, which is called Amiga Forever, which uses WinUAE as its underlying core, but the guys who make it, Calanto, originally did personal paint and things like that in Amiga. They officially licensed the ROM chips from Amiga Inc. and now sort of from Hyperion, who do Amiga OS now. And they basically produce a package which allows you to emulate any of the Amigas because there's so many different variations, including OS 3.9. Which is when you're running that and you show someone it, they just don't believe it's based on technology from 1985 essentially. But then again, in 1985 it was already 10 years ahead of where it should have been. So and you can get a hold of all sorts of things to run on that, all perfectly legally now. Yeah. So I mean, Team 17 have allowed the Amiga versions of their games to be released through a site called Dream 17. Yeah. For instance.
It is important to note at this stage because there is a lot of the games available on the internet that not all of them are legally allowed to be there. For some reason people went, oh, it's old and it's on the Amiga. It's like, no, the licenses are still valid and they're still owned by...
Yeah, this is the thing, there's a lot of people that go on about abandon where it's like, well, there's no such thing.
No, there's no such thing.
Unless they've actually written
intellectual copyright is still intellectual
copyright. Exactly, and again, Team 17 are a particularly good example of this because
you can download a lot of their stuff perfectly legally from their website.
But they have made new versions for things like the Vita and so on and so forth, so you can't turn around and go, well, they're not bothering them. They might be, bringing the IP back onto all the formats, and obviously, What is interesting, I don't know if you know. Do you know Silly Putty has come back?
Yes!
Putty Squad is out on. It came out on the PlayStation 4. It's coming out in a load of other formats. It's out on the PlayStation 4. That's just bizarre.
Not played it yet, but.
And they've released. I don't know if you're aware. It was originally going to be out on the Amiga 1200. It was supposed to be an Amiga 1200 game.
I didn't know that.
It got reviewed and never released.
Anyway, so
Amiga Soundtracks. If you can get the Immortal series, get them. Paula, Agnus, Denise. It's worth a punt.
Yeah.
I really would recommend going to AmigaRemix.com and getting some of the downloads there because some of them are absolutely fantastic. I'll put some suggestions for ones you want to go for in the blurb at the
Make
bottom.
sure you put the download.
Yeah, we'll put the download links on for both of these because seriously,
phenomenal.
Get both. Brilliant pieces of music on both albums. Absolutely worth it. Absolutely.
Okay. Alright, is there anything else?
I don't think so. So thank you very much for watching. We'll be back again soon. And we'll have a think about what we want to do next.
Yeah.
We need to review the Vita at some point, don't we?
Yeah. And something by Nintendo.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Night.